Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today I want to discuss a recent article that I read, and it is interesting because it draws a lot of conclusions that I've had in videos before, but these conclusions that it draw actually go back to psychology, sociology, and financial writings that I've read in the past, and we've done reviews on here about books. So it's saying these 10 signs prove that you're doing well in life, and we'll jump right in because a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory. One says if you have an emergency savings fund, you're doing better than most. It says a 2023 PwC survey found that workers without savings spend nearly 4 times longer being distracted by money worries. And as stated by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, having just $2,000 saved can boost overall financial well-being. So the first is having an emergency savings fund. People don't know how important that is. If you put away a little bit in each check, especially each time you get a raise. If each time you get a raise, if you're earning raises, you take that entire raise and put it into savings, you're not used to it yet, so you don't upgrade your style of living to consume that much money. So that's the best way to do it. I did really well in my career in the last, 15 to 20 years doing that. Every time I got a raise, I didn't touch it. I just invested it and had it come out. I actually got to the point where I was putting 30% away. And when you do that, it changes your quality of life dramatically. So starting out, you want to have an emergency fund and let it grow from there. So it says right there that if you have an emergency fund, you're not going to be distracted, so you're going to perform better. That's a big thing about that. Distraction is also dangerous. If you work in a job where you're in a facility that is a dangerous place to work, just any manufacturing facility or construction site, etc., being distracted is deadly. So just something to think about. The next one says strong social support networks. So good friends literally help you live longer. It's been widely known that people with strong social ties have lower stress levels and better mental health. Because life gets tough, they have people to listen and show up for them. It's like having your own built-in defense system. There's been several psychological studies about this as well, and you do live longer if you have people that are trusted that are near you. So that's no different than what people have been doing with communities for years, having people that are like-minded and that can help support you through the tough times, but just having somebody to talk to, where every time you come up against a wall, you don't feel like it's the end of the world. That is important. So that's a good call out, I think, too. So the second one is strong social support networks. The next one is a habit of continuous learning. Guys, if you can get into reading books and taking notes from those books, just write the title on the top, the author on the top, and then just write notes for the books that you're reading, the quotes that you think are impressive and the teachings that come from it. That is the best way to do continuous learning and have habits that will benefit you throughout life, because you can have conversations on a different level now. It doesn't matter if you didn't go to college or anything else after high school, if you didn't finish high school. If you have a curiosity and a hunger for learning and you can read books on your own and devote time to that, it can help you dramatically. Remember what we said in the dating video, women find men that read very attractive. That's been the number one on that survey for a couple of years now. It says here, curiosity is one of the best career tools you can have. Staying open to new ideas helped you adapt as industries shift and technologies evolve. Each new skill builds confidence, strengthens your problem-solving abilities, and keeps opportunities flowing your way. I agree with that. It's the more you know. The more you read, the more you know, the more wisdom you get that you don't have to learn from yourself through experience or mistakes. So a habit of continuous learning. The next is access to quality health care. One of the things that I would say when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, who you choose as an employer should be determined by what benefits they can give you. And I mean by that, yes, pay matters. Okay, you want to get the highest pay you possibly can. But if they match in investments for retirement, or if they have a great healthcare plan, dental, vision, all of that where you don't have to buy your own, that should be something you want to do by the end of your 20s, because you want to get regular scheduled healthcare appointments for all of that. Women and men both, because things can go wrong. The earlier you catch things, the better off. One blood test, blood work, can do wondrous things because it can come back and tell you what you need, even if you just change your diet or eat a little bit more of this or a little less of that. For example, it can deeply impact your life. One of the biggest things that I say is if you can catch diabetes before you have it, that's a lifesaver. Diabetes is the silent killer. And in America, we talk about a bunch of things. This will kill you, that'll kill you. Well, the truth is, food will kill you if you're not eating right. If you're eating too much sugar, sugar is poison. So having access to quality health care can help you identify those things early and medicate the situation if necessary, but better yet, make lifestyle changes that will keep you healthy for a longer time. People now are living shorter lives than what they were just 2 decades ago because our eating habits are so bad, because we eat a bunch of sugar and a bunch of fake foods. So people are dying earlier and earlier in life. So you want to pay attention to that. You want to have access to quality health care, and you want to use that. Just like anything else, make it your hobby. Make your health care one of the hobbies, one of the things that you invest your time and you invest your reading into to make sure you're doing everything you can to make your health last longer. I nearly died last year after a surgery, and I'll tell you, nothing is more important. Nothing is more important. If I was not as healthy and as strong as I was going into that, I wouldn't be here today. The fact that my body had built up immunities to certain things, and the fact that I was so strong and had enough muscle mass on me to sustain my body as I was going through that period. I lost a ton of weight. I lost 100 pounds in that 1 year. And quickly over the next 6-7 months, I've gained, 40 of it back, thankfully, because being that light on my frame was very odd for me, and it looked very, very bad. So access to quality healthcare matters. When you stay on top of checkups and have easy access to healthcare, problems get caught early and treatments actually work the earlier you catch things. It helps you avoid illness and live longer. It makes you feel better, and you know you'll get the care you need when it counts. So it's one less thing for you to worry about or be distracted by. And if you have good health benefits, if you've made that important when you do get married and your spouse gets to be included on your plan, now you've got your both of your situations covered. And when you have children, bam, now they're covered by great quality healthcare too. So make that important when you're talking about looking for a job or deciding on a job, because that will impact your life. Everyone gets older, okay? And as you get older, you'll need healthcare for things that you're not even knowing will be a problem for you. So, it's not a matter of if something is going to happen. It's a matter of when. That's why I'm in the insurance business. That's why I sell healthcare insurance and those type things, because healthcare insurance and life insurance change people's lives. If they get the proper healthcare insurance, it covers extra things that their healthcare programs might not cover. And if they have life insurance and you're the primary breadwinner, if something happens to you tomorrow, let's say you die today, tomorrow, who's going to pay your mortgage? Who's going to feed your children? So you want to have life insurance. Whatever it costs, you want to do that to make sure you've got yourself and your family taken care of. That's a great one. That's a great call out. The next is a stable living environment. Guys, this is the most important thing if you have children. If you can get a good place to live and stay there until they graduate from high school, that secure place is very powerful. It says there's something powerful about knowing you'll come home to the same place every day. That familiarity brings calm and lowers stress. This kind of steadiness helps children succeed in school, and it helps adults consistently stay more focused and emotionally balanced in their day-to-day lives. This is something that if you want to focus, if you're a 20-something right now, if you want to focus on something while you're in your 20s, buy you a piece of dirt, buy you a piece of land, and have a house on it. Okay, it doesn't have to be amazing, impressive, and anything else. It just has to be a good house with good roof and good bones. If a house has a good roof, it'll last forever. If it has good bones, meaning good foundation, good plumbing, good electric, you're not going to have to worry about the things. Then you get good AC and heat, the best you can afford. That in itself, you can raise a family there safe and keep it from being cluttered. Don't let it become a trap. If you're not using something inside of 90 days, get rid of it. You don't need it. Some things are expensive, so put those away. And if you have children that graduate, one of the coolest things I've ever seen, my brother goes to a church where they all collect clothes from kids at certain ages, and they all pass those down. So as you have children, these church folks bring all these clothes in, so they didn't have to buy clothes for their kids. They bought select items, and select items were gifts for the kids, but they had the predominant majority of the wardrobe given to them, and that's still happening to this day. And the church continues to do that. So as your kids get older, that takes a huge burden away from parents, where they don't have to pay for these things or do these things. So just something to know about. If you have a home where you build a community, that in itself for an adult, it goes back to that slide we talked about earlier, having friends, you have you feel supported, you have that success. Having a home is the same thing. And if it's yours, if you're paying for it, it's your house, you're paying a mortgage, or you own it outright. Guys, I'll tell you, when I come in my gate and I shut that gate, sometimes, especially if I've been away for a while, all I want to do is lay down on the ground right there and thank the Lord that I made it back safely one more time. So having a home and a secure place to live, it keeps kids safe, okay? If you don't have a house of your own and you're living in an apartment complex, you can smell stuff coming through the walls and everything else. It makes for a miserable time. And every time you have to move, every time you do that, you rip a little bit of that security away from your children. And it gives them stress issues that you may not see, but as adults, they may be less able to handle the things in the world because they've had those insecurities throughout their life. So that's a good call out. The next one is a healthy lifestyle routine. Forget the crash diets and all-night workouts. Real health comes from showing up for yourself every day, moving your body and eating at least 2 nutritious meals a day. It's amazing how much better life feels when your routine supports your energy instead of draining it. I can't say how important that is. Water. Guys, if you don't drink water, that's not something in my cup. It's a dragonfly. It's not a bug in the cup. It's actually just the thing that's in the layers, which is kind of cool, and it's pretty to look at. But here's the point. Water. If you can get to the point where you're drinking almost a gallon of water a day and don't give yourself but one soda every 3 to 4 days, etc., that's going to make you so much more healthy than what most people are. Okay, your liver, your kidneys are going to be able to fight what comes at you and keep you healthier. Guys, those things remove bad stuff from your blood to keep you a healthy, active person. The more water you take in, the more that's flushed out, the better your systems are working. The better your digestive system works, the better your endocrine system works, the better everything works when you increase your water intake. So if you purposely drink nothing but water, I went for years where all I drank was black coffee and water. And I was healthier than everyone else around. Even though I was a huge guy, I was healthier than anyone else around because every day when I ate a meal, I would have water after that. I wouldn't drink a whole lot at the meal. And you watch people drink sodas with their meals. Understand the soda, the sugar that's in that soda is awful. And it is going to throw you into a situation where you're going to be pre-diabetic or diabetic. So just know that much sugar is dangerous. So a healthy lifestyle routine, not only does it talk about exercise, just walking a little further, park a little bit further from the store when you walk in. You know, when you walk around the grocery store, walk around the outside in 2 loops before you start picking up your groceries. If you do small things like that, it can make you healthier in a safe way. Okay, jogging at night is not a good thing to do no matter who you are. But if you do things like this, you can do it in a healthier manner and be in better shape. Healthy lifestyle routine. I agree with that. It's about 2 nutritious meals a day. What we don't think about in America is we seem to be eating all the time. And we are supposed to graze. We're not supposed to eat big meals. So if you eat 1 or 2 meals, but you have a fasting period of 14 hours or better, guys, you can cut a lot of body fat and be very healthy if you daily don't let yourself eat between 14 hours. Keep it the same every day if you can. And then eat for the other time left in the day. So you have 10 hours then that you can eat throughout the day. If you do that, you'd be amazed at how healthy you can get from just doing that, just cutting the things out. And it may be the time that you're blowing and going. So the time that you're going to work, you use that as the period where you can eat. So you can snack at work, you can eat, but you don't eat hugely fattening things. That could be something that's beneficial to you too. And I've done videos on fasting and periodic fasting on the channel. If you're interested in that, take a look at some of those. Those things work dramatically for me when I was a personal trainer. People that had a hard time actually losing body fat, I would put them on something like that. If they stuck to it, they would have results in the first 30 days. So there's a lot of stuff to support that. And I've seen it myself work personally numerous times in my lifetime. So healthy lifestyle. The next is reliable transportation. You cannot emphasize how important this is. If you have reliable transportation and you take this to a mechanic to be soundly maintained while you own it, you won't ever be late for things. You don't have to worry about being in danger. You don't have to worry about public transit. I know if you live in certain cities, public transit is the only way to go, but the more time you submerge yourself in other people, the more danger there is. Okay, we're the top predator on the earth. There's no reason to think that that's not the truth. But dependable transportation causes a ripple effect of stability. That is a fact. I have a truck in my driveway that I've owned for 24 years. And I will comfortably drive it today anywhere I want to go. Now, the AC doesn't work as good as it used to. You know, it's a wonderful truck. It keeps you nice and warm in the summer and nice and cool in the winter, right? It's those type things. But honestly, it's like an old friend. I had that truck, after I graduated college and moved to Texas the first time. I bought that truck about 4 or 5 years into that situation, and I still have it today. And I just drove it to the store yesterday. It's a daily driver I want it to be. I've had many, many vehicles since then along with this truck. But dependable transportation creates a ripple effect of stability. You're not late for your job. You don't miss out on important appointments. You go to your doctor's appointments because you're not broken down. Because you can get to work daily, you build reliability that culminates in income security. A working vehicle or transit route can quietly change everything. It can improve both your health and happiness since it makes healthcare and social activities accessible. I agree with that completely. You do not need the fanciest, shiniest thing. I drive Ford vehicles because if I had not been driving a Ford Expedition when I was hit by an 18-wheeler a few years ago, I would not be here today. So I drive Ford trucks. That little truck that I'm talking about that I've had for so long, it is a Ford truck. It's a Ford Explorer Sport Track. And so when you look at that vehicle, I got this one. It was probably the second or third year they were making them, and I've had it ever since. And I have another one in the backyard that's a parts truck now. My brother's first vehicle was the same. And when you think about that, it just becomes an old friend. And you can get anywhere you need to get because you have that spare vehicle. That too can become priceless if you have a vehicle that you take good care of. And believe me, I took this shot one time. They said, Mr. Ben, this truck is not worth what you're going to spend on it today to get everything maintained up to the level that you want. And I looked the guy dead in his eyes and said, did I ask you that? I didn't ask you that. I said, fix anything that's broken. Fix whatever it needs. And the bill was more than $4,000. And at that point, that was more than what that vehicle is worth. And that was 10 years ago. And I still have it. So at the end of the day, if you allow yourself to understand what an asset is, an asset is something that increases your stability and has some financial value to it. But beyond that, it does things like this says. This article, this is the best I've heard this said. A working vehicle is extremely important because it culminates in income security. It improves your health and your happiness since it makes healthcare and social activities accessible. I'm actually going to like this article because of how she wrote that. This is an article, 10 Signs That Prove You're Doing Well in Life, by a woman named Emily Flores, and it came out October 20th of last year. So I agree with that completely. I couldn't have named that any better. Okay? The next thing that's extremely important, and Shaquille O'Neal, Dr. Shaquille O'Neal is a fine example of this, is financial literacy. Shaquille O'Neal had one of the best stories. He was around all these millionaires, all these basketball players that were making all this money, and he saw them time and time again. One guy that was rich this day, 6 months later, was broke. And he realized that he was going to be in the same position with these cats if he didn't do something better. And so what did he do? He increased his financial literacy. He started taking classes, and he didn't do well to begin with. But he started taking classes, and he stayed in it until he learned what he needed to learn. He continued that education, and he got degrees, guys. Now he's got a PhD in finance, which is brilliant. That is a brilliant motivation to get you going. And basketball players, athletes, and those folks, they travel all the time anyway to get the game. So all that travel time, you could be fooling around or watching videos on your phone or your DVD player or whatever you travel with. Back then, it would have been portable DVD players because phones weren't what they were today. Or you can carry books, textbooks, and you can learn something, and you can do some courses online. And he did that. He bettered his life dramatically because of it. Now he owns a part of tons of different businesses and is doing extraordinarily well. He's probably made more money off the court now than he ever made on the court as a fantastic basketball player. I don't care what you think about him on the free throw line. He still was a dominant player. Okay? Financial literacy, what it says here is money feels a lot less intimidating once you know how it works. Learning to manage debt and invest wisely gives you the freedom to plan ahead without fear. It's empowering to realize you're in charge of your finances and not the other way around. I could not say it better. First, you want to start with a small emergency fund. Then you want to grow that to about $2,000. And then you want to grow that to 6 months of whatever your bills are now. The secret to preparing for retirement is paying everything off. So own your cars, own your house, own your place in the world. If you do that, you don't need the same amount of money you need to get by now at that point. You can retire with very little money. You can live off of your Social Security that you have coming in if you pay off your home, pay off your cars, etc. And if you can't do that, then sell the big house and downsize. Buy a small place that you can afford to own free and clear. Sell the luxury vehicles and buy a Ford truck that will last you 20, 30 years. Do these things intentionally with deliberate thought around how you're securing your future. You shouldn't have to work until you're 80 years old to be free of doing what other people tell you to do. Okay? So the sooner you can become financially literate, the sooner you can become financially secure. And guys, you do that by owning stuff. So like I said, I've owned that truck for over 20 years. That kept me from car payments time and time again. If I didn't like a vehicle I bought and I always had that car in the driveway, I could sell that vehicle that I had. I could keep that Old Faithful and keep driving. And then I typically tried, if I'm going to finance a car, I pay it off in 3 years. And that was what was so upsetting about my Expedition. I live in Texas. It was paid off in 3 years. It had great AC. It had great everything. I just put brand new tires on it before that 18-wheeler hit me, that guy that wasn't paying attention, and totaled that truck. But that truck saved my life. And the reason, and it saved the lives of my family that was in the truck with me. I had 5 family members in that vehicle with me. So I was extremely proud of how that went. I took the worst beating of it because I fought through the wreck. I was trying to steer off the front end of that truck and doing those things. And then so damaged my spine, damaged my hip, damaged my shoulder, had some whiplash as well. It was a very brutal situation. Everybody else was okay mostly. They all had whiplash issues from it. But having that vehicle that was well maintained, it gives you the best benefit of a doubt when bad things go wrong. So financial literacy is the next one. I agree with that greatly. I think it's well written too. If you're financially literate, you can control your money. And if you can control your money and be deliberate in what you invest in and how you keep. Guys, I had something I cashed out just this past week for 30 grand. I had forgotten that was there. Okay? That's how good it is when you squirrel stuff away if you force yourself to do it. And I was poor. I kept myself poor. I buy clothes used. Everything is used except for my socks, my underwear, and my shoes, because it's important you have good shoes so you can stay in. But I don't worry about name brands or any of that nonsense. That's not something that impresses me, because I'd rather see my pennies stacked up in the bank as opposed to some useless junk in the closet. And here's the secret to all that. You're never going to get what you paid for it. Okay, so when you decide to spend money on something, it needs to give you a value, because you don't make money when you sell something, you make it when you buy it. So let's say there's a $70 shirt and I got it for $30. I may be able to sell that shirt again for $30. I'll never be able to sell it for $70. So by buying stuff used, you save yourself from a lot of inflation and you save yourself from a lot of depreciation. There's videos on the channel that talk about both of those, but that's something that people should be aware of. Next is a growth-oriented mindset. Those who view talent as flexible rather than fixed handle change with much more ease. They don't crumble under failure, they analyze it. This mindset builds emotional balance. It undoubtedly gives you a genuine sense of happiness and doesn't rely on constant success. Here's the point about that, and I think that's well said. You're going to have failures in life. The only way you grow, the only way you learn is to have failures, right? The more growth-minded you are and the more you assess the failures that you had, the more you can improve from them. So you're squeezing that orange for all the juice. You're getting the maximum benefit out of that failure. This is a wonderful way that this is written. It's definitely what you want to think about. And so number 10 on this list is insurance coverage. So that's just 10 signs to prove you're doing well in life. You want insurance. What separates the rich from the poor? The rich have insurance on everything. So if something happens, they have a financial recovery. People that aren't insured, they don't have a financial recovery, so they lose everything. Okay? I got out of a business recently because the person that I was partnered with did not see how dangerous some things were. And so I saw the risk right away and would say, you can't do that because of this, 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 and this. And they wanted to come back at me with some illegitimate excuse for, I don't want any of that. Okay? It's not insured to this level, so you can't do these things. All right? Some people don't understand that. The rich have insurance, the poor don't. So I sell insurance. It's not expensive. Most insurance you get now costs less than one fill up with gasoline. So if you're interested in insurance, hit my email up in the comments below, or shoot me an email rather in the description. You can see my email address there, and reach out. I'll happily talk to you about that and get you set up on something that'll be beneficial to you and your family. This video is not to do a pitch, but I've said in financial literacy videos before, you want to own everything free and clear, and you want to have everything insured to the nines. Because when that wreck, for example, not only did I recover money from the person that hit me, my own vehicle was insured in a way that since I was injured, it paid out an amount as well. So I got that much more because of the incident that occurred that was out of my control. There was nothing I can do. This person was not paying attention to the road, made a decision not to harm himself, decided to harm me and my family instead, and hit us. And had I not been as insured as I was, it could have been far worse than what it was, because it's created physical issues I'm going to be living with for the rest of my life. So from fender benders to sudden flu seasons, life has a knack for throwing curveballs that trip you up. But where insurance coverage steps in, you seem like a financial superhero, or it seems like a financial superhero rather. You'll be surprised on how many go through life without this safety net. One ER visit and they could be in debt for the rest of their life. So here's what I'll say about that. If you don't have a financial emergency money put away, if you don't have any of that, then you have to have insurance. Because if you don't and you get hurt, it will destroy you. You may lose your home. You may lose everything. Okay? There's insurance policies that cover your mortgage payment. There's insurance policies that cover your car and your health if you're in the car, etc. So this is extremely insightful and very true. So these are 10 signs to prove you're doing well in life. This was an article written in October of last year by a lady named Emily Flores. I think she did a great job on the article. I think it's well written. I think, it's short and to the point. But guys, if you can do the things suggested in this video, you can set yourself up to be a success. And look, if you're older, if you're 50 years old and older, you can still do these things to correct your life moving forward. We may live to be 80 years old, 100 years old. So if you're in your 50s, you still have decades to live. You can downsize. You can do things that get you out of living month to month, check to check, hand to fist is how they used to say it, or hand to mouth rather. At the end of the day, if you're insured, if you own your stuff free and clear, if you're taking care of your stuff, you have financial security, you have home security. For instance, if you have a mortgage that's not fixed and you live in a place where you have an HOA and you have insurance policies that go up every year because of flooding, etc., you're doing a whole lot of stuff wrong. Okay? HOAs can raise the fees and they serve you no benefit. You are paying someone to tell you what to do on your property. That is a losing battle. That's a fool's errand. Don't ever buy a place that has an HOA. If you're in a place that has an HOA, sell your house, get away from it now. Because the older you get, the less able you're going to be able to do to keep your grass this tall, etc. It may get long. If it's your property and no one has a say on it, then who cares? Get a goat. Let the goat eat the grass, right? The point is, get away from that. Downsize. If you have a big 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house, and your kids are gone, you're an empty nester, sell that. Do not buy a condo. Buy a small place on small acreage, somewhere rural, so the whole cost of living comes down. Okay? Now, what may be costing you $6,000 a month to keep the house and the insurance and everything up like that, now your cost of living may be less than $2,000 a month. Okay, I'll say this: my house is paid off, my vehicles are paid off, my monthly bills are under $1,000. Okay, so I made enough money this past month to pay my bills for the next 45 months. When you have these things secure, you don't have to worry about things. It takes care of you. So then every time you stack your pennies, you now know I only need this much. So it just makes you that much more secure and that much more beneficial in the role that you're in now. So this video went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but these are extremely important concepts. And no matter what your age is, you can use these concepts to better your situation. You're not helping anybody by not going to the doctor. Okay. For the men out there, look, I was one of you. I didn't go to the doctor for decades. Okay. I was a tough guy. Nobody could tell me squat. I felt fine. And if it hurts, I get used to the pain. You're not supposed to be in pain. Okay. The doctor actually told me after the surgeries last year, he said, Ben, you don't complain. He goes, that's a problem. If these things are hurting, you need to say something. But I had procedures done in the hospital where they did not numb my body. They didn't put me to sleep. Normally they would put you to sleep, and I didn't like the anesthesia situation. Anesthesia is dangerous. And so I said, you can do it with just local anesthesia. I don't need the rest. Blew them away. The doctor told me he'd been doing that for nearly 30 years. I was the first person that ever done that. And when he put the needles in, he put a series of 9 needles in, the longest one being about that long, the shortest one being about that long. The first one, when he did the left side of my back, I was looking through my arms because you're laying on your stomach on the table. So I was looking through the gap in my arms there. And I saw that there were like 6 or 7 people in the room, and I was like, well, it's a teaching hospital. I was like, what's going on there? He goes, they wanted to see you do this with no anesthesia. And I said, okay. The second time when I did the other side, there were more shoes over there than I could count because they could not believe that I did it without anesthesia, not once, but twice. I'm not saying that, say, ooh, look at me, it's tough. But the point is, I'm with you. I didn't want to go to doctors all the time. I didn't want to make time for it. I didn't want to do it. Now I go to doctors regularly, because I nearly died last year and I was doing a lot of stuff right, but there were some other things that blood tests could have told me. So now I get blood drawn, multiple times a year, every couple of months, once a quarter really, so it can tell me what's going on and let me know what's happening because I'm getting older. So I would suggest if you can do those things too, do that. Hopefully this was beneficial to you. No matter how old you are in life, you can better your situation by honing in on these things, doing as this article suggested and by what I'm suggesting in that. Of course, this is all my opinion. You want to talk to your doctor to see what they say, and if you're going to use a financial professional, then do that. But there's a lot of great reading, guys, on how to be financially secure. The Psychology of Money is a great book that you might want to read on that and get after it. All you want to do is make the best life you can for yourself and for your children and for the ones that you care about. Having insurance, having good health benefits, having a stable home and a reliable car, those are all things that make your life much, much better. Having good AC and good heat come right after that. Because without AC in the southern states, it's very difficult for about 5 months to live in a house that doesn't have AC. When I grew up, we didn't have AC sometimes where we were. So it's useful sometimes to be able to spend on that versus name brand clothes, etc., etc. So if you like information and videos such as these, please subscribe. If you know somebody this may benefit, please share this video with them. If you think it would be beneficial for a lot, please share it on your social networks. And come on back for another one. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. Be good.